WB Games. So back in the news with Axios' good reporting on WB Games, but it was really the reporting around AT&T and Discovery. So AT&T had really pushed hard. So that's the Telstra equivalent in the States. Very big on telecommunication, mobiles, connections, internet connections, all that kind of stuff. They pushed into media. So they had Discovery and a whole host of other outlets. HBO is one as well. And obviously they have not been able to realize the benefits of that acquisition and merger. I think it was about 3 years ago from memory. And
with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, with Warner Brothers, exactly. So they are now breaking it up, and they're breaking it up in a really weird way. So this is essentially like a joint venture that they're doing with Discovery, and although they will own the majority of it, AT&T, they are giving the power to it to Discovery. So it's like a really unique one where it's almost like we don't know, we have no taste. It's almost what they're saying. We don't know how to create shows or drive things like that and create, capital out of that, but we have a lot of money and control. So we'll give you you be the taste maker, Discovery. We'll get the benefits of it. It's like genuinely a little bit like that is what's happening now. And honestly, I've been following it and there's a lot of news stories about it. The thing is, we see it with Microsoft, right? Xbox is such a small component of Microsoft. They don't really even legally need to disclose that much about the Xbox business because it's such a small piece of the pie for Microsoft, right?
Just crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, whereas PlayStation, because it's such a big part of Sony, they need to actually go deeper in their financials for investors and for like the market purposes. So to the point where they're actually saying this is how much we're making in these divisions and all this other kind of stuff, right? And there's a bit of a parallel here where they barely even mention that they own video game studios that make some of the best games going around. It's almost like an afterthought. It's like, whatever. We own some other assets. I think it was literally just included in other Warner Brothers Interactive.
So those studios.
Yes.
Can we maybe explain some of them?
Yeah, so Rocksteady, so the Arkham series, NetherRealm, Mortal Kombat, Monolith, Shadow of Mordor, and then the Lego Star Wars and Avalanche with Hogwarts, which is, already in trouble as it is. There is actually mixed reporting about this, Swinny. So I was reading like so much about it. Some are now saying all of the game studios will be going across to Discovery, and then others are saying it'll be broken up a bit. I think, normally what happens with these type of JVs, joint ventures, they'll pick apart parts of it. And it's also like they signal to the market. And then if you're, for whatever reason, if, you were saying this before, Swinny, if you're PlayStation and maybe you want a first party fighting game, do you pick up the phone and go, hey, can we buy NetherRealm and make Mortal Kombat an exclusive to PlayStation?
Well, this is interesting to me because back on our very first episode, the episode with about 50 different segments.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We actually talked about the fact that Microsoft were interested in potentially buying WB Games at the time. Now, that could be completely all out the window now, but to me, if I was Microsoft and if they were looking to potentially pick apart this group of studios, that I'd be looking at NetherRealm. That would be like the number one out of that for me if I was Microsoft.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, they need to push harder into the fighting game space. They have almost conceded that ground to PlayStation. Like, it shocks me still that Street Fighter V isn't available on Xbox. Like, that's not a game historically in my mind, Street Fighter, as being a single platform type of game. I know this is not related, but playing Control and loving Alan Wake, man, Microsoft should just buy Remedy, man. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, they could just spit out 10 out of 10 games, and they need that kind of stuff.
Interestingly, I think it was either last week or this week, did Tencent just get a very small stake in Remedy?
Yeah,
it's like a 1.5% or something.
I think they're doing that of every studio, right?
Yeah,
it's really
putting in the like Chinese, firewall into their games. But so I do get nervous about this because we'll touch base on it later when I talk about Press Reset, the Jason Schreier book, which is all about studios making great games, but having a lot of turmoil behind the scenes and at the executive level and the money level. we've already seen that Rocksteady, there's been some delays in some of the games that, we're all looking forward to. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. It feels like there's a bit of a cloud over all of these games. Apart from what's going on with Mortal Kombat. I mean, that's roaring back into the charts due to the movie that got released. Like Mortal Kombat 10 was back in the top 10 PlayStation 4 games the other week. So,
well, it's also potentially going to have a bit of a boom when it hits like Evo time as well. So.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on this. Like, I'm really keen to see if other people come in and try to pick up some of these studios. And, like Rocksteady feels like that should be a bit of a target, surely. They've just got such a history of making awesome games. But I guess if you're buying them, you'd be wanting to buy, like, the lot, right? At that stage, you're buying such a big component of it. All right, let's move into the next news story.